Fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, distinguished Toastmasters. When was the last time you did your speech? When was the last time that you actually completed a speech? This is the question I posed to the members of HHS earlier today. The reason for this is to find out which members have completed their CCs, which members have completed their advanced communications manuals. Because what I was trying to convey is we become distracted. I am a distracted Toastmaster. I want to start off with talking about how I became a Toastmaster. In 1979, I was first introduced to Toastmasters. However, I didn't join at that time. I knew about it, I was introduced to it, but I did not join and I did not look forward to going to find more about it. I thought it was a teaching thing and I wasn't going to school for teaching. Let's fast forward to the fall of 2010. I was looking to be involved with Toastmasters again. And lo and behold, my club became a chartered Toastmaster member in 2010, November 2010. I became a chartered member. I didn't do my speech immediately. The distraction at that time was we had too many members at that time. We had members wanting to do their speeches, and I didn't have the time to do it. Besides, the first speech, the icebreaker, I wasn't really ready to communicate all of my personal business with my company employees. So it took me until March 2011, which was a year ago, to do my first speech. From November to March. Can you believe it? I was distracted. That was a barrier for me, not to do my speech because I really wasn't interested in bearing my soul to all of my club members. However, here's the thing I didn't like about Toastmasters. They had a program out there called the Ambassadors Program, and I called around to other clubs, and I just wanted to know what was going on, how did they do how their program went in their location. And one person said, "Oh, come on over. We're really good at breaking the ice." I don't know if she realized when she said that. She sent my anxiety straight to the roof, and I really wasn't ready to do a speech then. Eventually, she convinced me, though. I went to her club, and I gave my first speech. I gave my speech on a topic that was in my mind at that time, something I wanted to convey. You see, March is the month my mother passed. And I had been thinking about her and thinking about her those past few months. And I said, what a better way to express myself. Because I had been seeing a lot of patterns in which I was following in her footsteps. My first speech I gave on March 10th, 2011, called Mirror Image, with a question mark. I became distracted again. That first speech, I didn't do my next one until July. I only did it at that time is because I wanted to get my club up and going. I was also distracted for the simple fact I was out on medical leave. When I came back to my club, I was very happy. I was put on a pedestal for being an ambassador, and I was really happy about it, but then I was kind of sad. But then it gave me the opportunity to come up with another speech. My second speech was about my Toastmasters adventures, being an ambassador. My third speech, I did in July. Now my fourth speech gave me the hardest trouble. For some reason, I couldn't get that speech going. The distraction at that time was I became unemployed. And I was thinking of other things other than doing a speech. Eventually, I had to do the speech. And I had planned on it, but I was distracted with other things. You see, I'm an area governor, and my division governor stays on my back. One evening, I was visiting a club, the PMI Toastmasters, and my division governor took me and tossed me in the ring. Imagine if you were a child and you didn't know how to swim, and you were tossed in the pool to learn how to swim. And what did you do? Did you sink or did you swim? You swam, right? So what I did is I swam. I gave that speech and I gave it off the cuff. And I actually appreciated him doing that. It broke the distractions that I had being all inside of my own head. I say that because after that speech, I did my next speech. I actually did about 4 speeches in 1 month. I'm no longer a distracted Toastmaster. I've completed my 10th speech today, and I'm encouraging the other members to join me for no longer being a distracted Toastmaster.
So it reminded me of my own struggles, going out and speaking. It was a great speech, I would say. You have good gestures, and you walk around the space, so you made a great impression.
I love the way you pause. Your rate is so nice. And you have nice storytelling techniques.
I heard the speech now for the second time from earlier today. And even though you didn't have your props, your body language, I felt, was you actually built. And so I was able to visualize, even though you didn't have the block, so I thought you did that very, very nicely. I love the distracted Toastmaster. The voice went down, the head dropped, good body language there. And as I commented earlier today, nice use of the space. You're not afraid to move around, so I thought you did that extremely well. This round, hearing it for the second time, I was clear on what your distractions were. I was a lot clearer this round, so I thought you did that well. Here's some growth opportunity for you. You mentioned about the speech you did in March. Was it March or May? Mm-hmm. Okay. Tell us a little more about your mom. I like how Tim encourages us to kind of tell more about the story, give more descriptions about your mom, because you mentioned the mirror. So it would have been good to hear something about that, or that similarity that you see between you and your mother. Again, I encourage you to work on the organization. We talked about that earlier. maybe limit it down to 2 or 3 distractions and really build a story from there. I was going to comment how you jump from, how you kind of go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I was going to mention why don't you do 1, talk about speech number 5 to 10, but then I understood that you were fine once you got to number 4 and what you did after, so that made sense. Improvement from what I heard earlier to this round, a good job.
Very personal, which is good. You had a narrative, and you had some examples, and you used the word imagine. It's very effective. Now, I'm going to bounce off of Cynthia's point, but make a little bit more of it. Thoughts of growth opportunities are things going way outside the Toastmasters box, so use what you want and dump the rest. Pause after questions. Pause long enough for someone to think how to answer the question in their mind. Never say, or rarely say, I want to start off. Just start. Let's fast forward to, fast forward to. Take out those extraneous words because it'll make more immediate impact in the speech. Get your hands kind of up, protectively. Keep your hands on your side. Check in with the audience. Exactly as Cynthia was encouraging me to do. Check with the audience. Have you ever had this? Remember a time when you were doing that? Did you get stuck? A lot of people get stuck in the third speech. Did that happen to you? Something like that. And story. Story, yes, but I'll add seen, known, and heard. You have to be able to see what's going on, know the background, and dialogue. So important. All the way through is a narrative. If you had dialogue, even internal dialogue, and I kept thinking to myself, I'm so frustrated. I don't know what's going on. I'm nuts here. Have you ever had that happen? You think you're going crazy? You know, because you can't finish your speeches. Other people seem to be plowing through fine, and you just can't get going. That's another way to connect with the audience, too, with internal dialogue. Conflict. Dialogue will build conflict. That's why it's important.
Doretha, I really enjoyed the way you started your speech with the building of your castle, which was very obvious, and the humming, and that's what I would also be doing if I'm distracted. I thought that was a great way of introducing us to your distraction. I really enjoyed that. And in fact, as you were talking, I thought that perhaps one thing you might want to work in is, are you a DTM? A distracted Toastmaster? I was. So that's something that I think you can work in, and I understand the structure of your speech with the problems that you had starting. You talked about you joined in November, you just couldn't get around to doing that speech. Finally you did it in March, but you were still a member, and I was thinking, why was she still a member if she didn't kind of want to get up and do this speech? And you talked about the ambassador program was really keeping you interested. I think I would have segued from, I just didn't want to give them that personal information, but the thing I really loved was doing this ambassador program, and that's how you got roped into finally doing your first speech. I think you could have tightened that up a little. You had a lot of detail that I think did not significantly add to the story and kind of slowed it down and helped to build up the tension. So I think maybe if this was written down, you would be able to see what could be eliminated. I was very touched by the story of your mother really inspiring you to do that first speech. I also would have liked more detail about that. And you know, that would give a little personal information, but one of the things that I particularly liked about that was because in this story, the things that you're revealing are the things that were holding you back from being fully a Toastmaster. You didn't want to give personal information, yet here you are giving it to us. You didn't want to get up and do any speeches. You were super slow-mo for the first 3 and then 4 in a month, and you could have finished up with and 2 today. And I thought that that's something you could also stress to show how becoming more focused. And I think this also comes off of what Cynthia said, saying no to say yes. You said no to the various things that were distracting you, and you said yes to being more fully involved as a Toastmaster. Finally, one other suggestion I have for you is you did a lot of pacing, and I found that very distracting because it was not movement with purpose. It seemed to be just the tiger in the cage. So I would suggest you think about that. I thought this was a very interesting speech, and I really felt that I got to know you. So in a way, this was another icebreaker. And I also really liked the fact that we got to see your progress as you gained focus and gained experience, and we're celebrating you with you on the very day that you completed your 10th speech.